Assalamualaikum. My name is Balqis Najiha Binti Yusri.
My name is Izazi Naqiyah Binti Arduan.
My name is Liyana Batrisyia Binti Nazmi.
My name is Edzlan bin Hafizulzakuan.
Next is the SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis can be defined as a strategic planning method used to evaluate the company's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. For Apple company, we found 7 strengths, which is most valuable product and brand, globally iconic, top technology, brand of choice, strong financial position, product differentiations, and last, producing both hardware and software.
Moving on into the next SWOT analysis, which is Apple weaknesses. So we have found 7 weaknesses. The first one is expensive product, limited advertisement and promotion. The third one is product only compatible with Apple software. The fourth one is less variety in phone design. The fifth one is lack compatibility. Number 6 is unfair business practice. And the last one is tracking allegation.
The opportunity SWOT analysis, on the other hand, has 7 factors. The first is expand music streaming services. The second is production of eco-friendly. The third is experience profession. The fourth is customer growing rate consistently. The fifth is wearable technology. The sixth is the demand for cloud-based services. And the last but not least is distributing network.
There are 7 threats found in Apple company, which are increasing competition, imitation and counterfeits, coronavirus outbreak, China tariffs, patent infringement, app store fees, and no effective countermeasure for attacks.
Based on this table, it outlines Apple's company internal factor evaluation (IFE), which touch on the company strength and weaknesses. For the strength, Apple's company has 3 top strengths, which include strong financial position with weighted score 0.52, globally iconic with weighted score 0.40, and last, top technology with weighted score 0.27. With these 3 top strengths in Apple's company, it can identify where Apple's company do well from the other competitors.
Next, moving on into internal factor evaluation (IFE) for Apple weaknesses. As we can see on the table above, the highest weighted score is less variety in phone design, in which the weighted score is 0.22, followed by product only compatible with Apple software, and unfair business practice is 0.12, in which the total weight score for internal factor evaluation, which is IFE for strength and also weaknesses, is 2.66.
For the EFE opportunity explanation, Apple's top opportunity include the production of eco-friendly, which is 0.48, experience professional and wearable technology 0.32, and distribution network 0.28. The top 4 opportunity are the strongest and have the largest impact on their business if they can give this factor greater consideration. Meanwhile, for the EFE threats explanation, Apple top 4 threats are increasing competition, imitation and counterfeit, which is 0.36, China tariff 0.27, and coronavirus outbreak 0.24. The total EFE metric score of 3.25 is greater than the average total score of 2.50 as shown. The organization is very responsive and has outstanding responsiveness towards the opportunity and threats. Next, for CPM explanation, Apple ranks top with a score of 3.65, followed by Samsung with a score of 2.80 and Huawei with a score of 1.65. Also, Apple has more bonus points and their key success factors are in a better position and are more competitive than the 2 others. This is because the other 2 companies are always trying to keep up with Apple, while Apple can stand on its own. In conclusion, Apple is the most powerful international technology brand compared to its Korean and Chinese competitors.
So on chapter 3, which is company strategy plan for strategy formulation, is on internal external metrics and grand strategy metric. So based on the figure above that, we carry out the internal external metrics, in which we found that the indicated result of total weighted score for IFE metric is 2.66 and it falls under average row. Meanwhile, the indicated result of total weighted score for the EFE metric is 3.25 and it falls under the high column. So based on the intersection in IE metric Apple should grow and build their position using backward, forward or horizontal integration, in which it includes market penetration, market development and also product development in order to expand and increase their business to the customer.
The second tools that we chose are Grand Strategy Metrics. In Grand Strategy Metrics, Apple belongs in Quadrant 1 as the company is now enjoying significant market expansion and strong competitive position as evidenced by a comprehensive evaluation of Apple-related materials and data.
Next, the explanation for the QSPM or the Quantitative Strategic Planning Matrix approach taken by Apple place primary emphasis on three distinct strategies, which is market penetration, product development, and lastly, market development. Meanwhile, for QSPM explanation, the data presented in the table that is located above demonstrate that market development had the highest overall score, which was 3.52. The market penetration score is the second highest with a total average score of 3.41, while the product development score is the lowest with a total average score of 3.27. As a result, we can conclude that the technique that is most suited for Apple is that they should focus on developing new market as their primary business strategy.
Market penetration is acquiring a large share of the existing market by selling more of the company's current goods. For instance, Apple sells more iPhones and iPads in its current North American regions. Apple outsold its competitors in its home nation, and the iPhone itself, such as the iPhone 13, has become increasingly popular in North America, as shown in this slide regarding the Apple revenue from 2015 to 2021. It shows that Apple gained more earnings by selling more iPhones in the North American market, increasing its revenue. Next, Apple also increased their sales by expanding its authorized sellers. By increasing the number of authorized sellers in other countries, Apple's overall revenue can be increased. So, suppose Apple expand their sellers such as adding more Switch stores in Malaysia. In that case, it will attract more customers because Switch stores do not have many retailers in Malaysia, particularly in certain states such as Pahang. Pahang is the largest state in West Malaysia after East Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak. If Pahang residents want to purchase a new iPhone, they must travel to Kuantan, where the closest Switch store is located. Kuantan is pretty far from several areas such as Temerloh. Temerloh is one of Pahang's hottest locations. Thus, it will be a terrific idea to build a Switch store in Temerloh, so those iPhone users who live nearby may get a new iPhone quickly and easily. Also, the effort of the company's strategy in advertising their product to collaborate with the famous K-pop idol, which is 17, has expanded the company business. In May 2022, Apple chose to collab with 17 for their remix project with their English single Darling. Through this collaboration, listeners will be able to remix the track themselves. By doing this, it gave the listeners the opportunities to be creative. It benefited Apple as 17 is one of the most famous K-pop idols worldwide. In addition, if Apple decided to make a limited iPhone in collaboration with 17, it would be a fantastic idea as it would encourage 17's fans to purchase Apple's products. For instance, the limited iPhone will be in a rose quartz color, which represents 17, and would have a limited edition for the cards of all members inside the packaging.
So next, moving on into the second strategy is on product development. So product development is Apple's primary focus. So when it's come to intense expansion plan, in order to increase the market share and also overall performance, the firm has to produce technological products that are both appealing and valuable as a part of product development process. So innovation in Apple research and development operation is a key component in the company execution of rigorous growth plan. So the product development that Apple can make to grow their business is creating on new product, in which, as we all know, Apple has mainly focused on their smartphone, but to grow their business, Apple needs to innovate something different in which they can produce new product in other product lines such as home appliances. So Apple is able to create a new product line to compete with their strong competitors, which is Samsung and Huawei in the home appliances industry. So as importance of technology in our daily life has been increased, new application of absolute technology has becoming increasingly prevalent in the business world. These are actually as enhance the fundamental way of life people everywhere. So for example, as we all know, Samsung vacuum cleaner has assisted individuals with serve dust allergies in locating health-threatening environment. So within that, Apple debuted into market for household appliances goods such as smart refrigerator, smart air conditioner, and also smart television can improve the life of their consumer. So a smart refrigerator by Apple, for instance, it can determine optimal temperature for each section. So in addition, a refrigerator from Apple front door will feature a touchscreen with our proprietary operating system, which is it can suggest and determine our diet plan and also a recipe, which is to cook a healthy meal. So within that, it will indicate Apple smart refrigerator will be different from others, and within this, the strategy it will increase the business growth of Apple and the expansion of their product development.
Next, the third strategy is market development. Apple's view market development as a low priority, intense growth approach. Market development entails selling current item or product in new area while using the company's competitive advantages. According to our finding, Apple has an Apple Store in 25 countries and regions, but there are more countries they can expand. In order to market their current product or item in new area, Apple need to expand more in the number of retail outlets and geographical coverage for its own good, since Apple has a good quality of their product. This growth strategy aligns with general strategy of wide differentiations by broadening the company market reach. For example, by offering the current consumer electronic to new international market. This general approach for competitive advantage also necessitates delivering items to many market sectors, which Apple does through market development. Next, Apple should undertake a survey to determine which areas have a high demand for consumer electronics that are related to them, and as well as Apple need to know how their rival perform in those areas. If there are lack of attention in electronic demand in that area, Apple can use this chance to increase their market there and their product can reach to the consumer. And last, Apple need to market their product through demographic market segmentation, where it can comprise designing of goods based on the age, lifestyle, and employment of its target consumer. The product of Apple are subsequently dispersed to various places and categorized depending on the family size and age. Next, the new IFE after implementations. For the strength of Apple, the key internal factor of top technology shows an increase from rating 3 to 4, which at the same time, the score also shows an increase in number of 0.27 to 0.36. For the weaknesses of Apple, the key internal factor of their expensive product shows an increase from rating 1 to 2, which at the same time, the score also shows an increase in number of 0.20 to 0.30. Overall, the weighted score for strengths and weaknesses of Apple shows an increase from 2.66 to 3.66, which it shows the improvement based on the strategy that has been implemented.
Next, explanation after new EFE. For Apple's opportunity, key external factor of the increasing demand for cloud-based services show an increase from rating 3 to 4, while the score also increases from 0.09 to 0.12.
While for the new external factor evaluation of Apple threats, the key external factor that shows an increase is imitation and counterfeits, whereby the rating rises from 3 to 4 and the score rises from 0.36 to 0.48. However, the last key external factor that shows an increment is patent infringement, whereby the rating rises from 3 to 4 and the score rises from 0.18 to 0.24. The results show that the implementation of these three strategies contributed to an increase Apple's overall weighted score of opportunities and threats, which increased from 3.25 to 3.46. This demonstrates a significant improvement as a result of the strategy that has been implemented on their strategy. To conclude, Apple has an excellent company background as seen by its history, vision and mission, goals and objectives, and board of directors. Despite Apple's strengths and opportunities, the company still faces weaknesses and threats. Also, from their SWOT analysis, we can determine their internal strengths and weaknesses, as well as strengths, opportunity, and threats based on our IFE and EFE. In addition, the competitive profile matrix reveals that Apple's 3.65 score is the highest among the other two competitors, Samsung and Huawei. Moreover, after completing our IFE and EFE, we chose IE matrix and Grand Strategy matrix, We found that the strategies that Apple requires are market penetration, product development, and market development.